Peace, Galactical Federation. G4, we in the building, man. G4, we in the building. So we're gonna get on part 2 of, honoring your ancestors. Because sometimes people think that it's demonic or evil when you light candles, but people light candles in church, right? People are doing rituals in the Christian church. So I just want to gain more clarity to what the ancestors are, you know what I'm saying, and build on that. Come inside, take off your shoes. You can rest your swords and your shields where you can come and rest your mind. I know it's been tough outside, so I'm not trying to make these lessons or these videos a little bit too long. I want you guys to hear me out, listen, and respond, like, comment, and subscribe. Live the life you love the life you live, while others have the minds to steal, others have the minds to give. So today we're gonna speak on how every society honors its ancestors in almost every aspect of life, which is like completely normal. Society builds monuments to their ancestors all over the place. We have monuments in a park, we have monuments at banks, so that's showing like reverence to your ancestors. When people build these monuments, they name buildings, streets, and schools after our ancestors, right? Picturing like deceased leaders, on a currency. You got dead ancestors on currency. That's a form of ancestral worship. So if you see, people having a problem with ancestors or paying reverence to their ancestors, is usually just a lack of understanding of what ancestral worship is, or giving reverence to your ancestors. People do it every day. People pour libations. You get what I'm saying? They do rituals and stuff on TV, but if people aren't aware of how rituals look, they won't know what a ritual is. You get what I'm saying? Like I said before, when black people light candles and they call up on the name of their ancestors, people call it evil or voodoo. But in most of our ancient cellular memory, the men are being looked up to, bowed down to, revered to, honored and respected, just because they were men. They were leaders and the decision makers, and that was their role. You know what I'm saying? It was their role to lead. Like, the men and the women at that time understood each other's role. And as a man, it is your role to lead. You know what I'm saying? To lead the relationship, to lead the group. That's our role as men. So it was our role, but it wasn't without balance. And basically, like, the men, they honored the role of women too, because they was providing much spirit. They needed spiritual balance and, spiritual and emotional balance. You know what I'm saying? So the women, that's the role that they played. Was like, sometimes the man could get, riled up. She calms the man down. You know what I'm saying? She brings the balance to that equation. She brings the equilibrium. So she's not playing the leader. She's playing the opposite role, because that's what's going to bring balance to the situation. Right? So men were held in high regard because of the function that they served and the roles that they played, which benefited their entire community. Bowing was like, it was not to them, but it was for them as individuals, and rather for the position that they held. That memory is still alive today in the spirit of black men, and there is a need and desire to once again enjoy the position of reverence and honor. You understand what I'm saying? You could see it in our brothers, like they want to be loved, they want to be appreciated. You know what I'm saying? But today, however, there's like a little understanding and balance in the pursuit, you know what I'm saying, of this position. And a lot of times, a lot of black men, their assertiveness is mistaken as arrogance. And that's a huge problem, man, due to, some people's insecurities and people not wanting the black man to be in power or certain men to be in power. So they try to confuse the two and they call them arrogant. You know, it's like the same thing as saying somebody, I'm confident, not cocky, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? But people try to play it to their benefit. You know, so it plays out when the black man, you know, when he's being demanding or commanding, when our needs need to be met and fulfilled, it's like considered as arrogance, but it's not. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, forceful, powerful, you know, hunters and warriors, they move strategically using skill rather than brute force to gather food for their village. And, you know, that's basically how we gotta move out here. You know what I'm saying? We just can't not be moving strategically out here as black men, because we do have a lot of stereotypes that people confuse us with. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I noticed that the demands of men are like no longer centered on the we of our common survival. You know what I'm saying? It's more like based on I, and that's not really healthy. You know what I'm saying? And most likely that stems from a man's fear, anger, and aggression, which he believes he has the right to impose. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to give too much in this video, but I'm probably going to be dropping like a part 3. Alright, peace guys.
Mantai kunai kayaritu mantai nini bola kiro shamuririm bola kiro shamuririm bola kiro shamuririm mantai kunai kayaririm bola kiro shamuririm bola kiro shamuririm mantai kunai kayaririm bola kiro shamuririm mantai kunai kayaritu mantai nini chuchu asha shamuririm chuchu asha shamuririm mantai kunai kayaririm chuchu asha shamuririm mantai kunai kayaririm chuchu asha shamuririm mantai kunai kayaririm chuchu asha shamuririm mantai kunai kayaritu mantai nini hananandai ririririm kasho kasho shamuririm kasho kasho shamuririm mantai kunai kayaririm kasho kasho shamuririm pan del árbol shamuririm pan del árbol shamuririm pan del árbol kayaritu mantai nini pan del árbol shamuririm hanai nanandai dai nai nai nanam hanai nanandai dai nai nai nanam hai nanandai nanai nai nanam hai nanandai dai nai nai nanam hai nanandai nanai nai nanam wayaba shamuririri wayaba shamuririri mantai kunai kayaririm wayaba shamuririri mantai kunai kayaririm wayaba shamuririri mantai kunai kayaritu mantai nini mantai kunai kayaritu mantai nini pusporoto shamuririri pusporoto shamuririri mantai kunai kayaririm pusporoto shamuririri mantai kunai kayaririm wasai shamuririri wasai shamuririri mantai kunai kayaririm mantai kunai kayaririri, wasaisha muririri, mantai kunai kayaririri, kayaritu mantai ninini, mantai kunai kayaririri, kayaritu mantai ninini, anai nanandai nai 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 nanam, anai nanandai nai 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 nanam, ai nanandai nanai nai nanam. Anai na na nai dai nai nai na na. Anai na na nai 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 na na na. Anai na na nai 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 na na. Anai na nai 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 na na. Ai na na nai na nai nai na na. Anai na na nai dai nai nai na na. Anai na na nai dai dai nai na na. Anai na na nai dai nai nai na na. Anai na nai 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 na na. Arai na na nai 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 na na. Arai na na nai dai nai nai na na. Arai na nai nai dai nai na na na. Arai na na nai dai nai na na na. Arai na nai 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 na na. Arai na na nai na nai nai na na. Arai na na nai 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 na na. Arai na na nai 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 na na na. Arai na nai 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 na na. Arai na nai 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 na na. Ai na na nai 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 na na. Anai na nai 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 na na. Arai na nai 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 na na na. Anai na na nai 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 na na. Arai na nai 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 na na. Anai na na nai 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 na na. Arai na nai 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 na na. Arai na nai 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 na na. Arai na nai 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 na na. Arai na nai 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 na na. Arai na na nai 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 na na. Arai na nai 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 na na. Arai na nai 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 na na. Arai na nai 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 na na. Arai na nai 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 na na. Arai nai 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 na na. Arai na nai 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 na na. Arai na nai 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 na na na. Arai na nai 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 nai. Arai na nai 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 na na na. Arai na na nai 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 na na. Arai na nai 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 na na. Arai na na nai nai